Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. My life is an anti-sex bed perna. I was born with an anti-sex personality. Now, I was not going to watch the Olympic Games until I learned that they have deployed anti-sex beds to prevent the world's most fit people from fornicating during the Olympic Games. Now, this might be the worst COVID prevention method since some world leaders suggested injecting yourself with bleach. I do have important updates from the Richard Sherman arrest, the Dez Bryant documentary, Todd Gurley's new team, Younghoe Koo's Jeep was stolen, and yes, a gratuitous amount of anti-sex bed analytics. All today on That's Good Sports. Please subscribe to the Anti-Sex Bed of YouTube channels. This channel. I do have Big Dick Patreon shoutouts for Kill, Gil, Evan, Pillar. Evan, pillar of my community. And AmericanFootballInternational.com. Patreon.com/thatsgoodsports. That's how you support this channel. August, we'll be doing our fantasy leagues for all $20 patrons. We do a monthly Zoom meeting for all $10 patrons. And another way you can support this channel, BenchwarmerBrew.com if you want to buy my coffee. 3 blends now, 1 from 5 Points Vids, 1 from Urinating Tree, 1 from me. My coffee, organic, ethically sourced, delicious coffee, and the cheapest way to get it is if you sign up for the coffee subscription service. You can have coffee delivered at your desired rate. So check it out, BenchwarmerBrew.com. Anti-sex beds. How do you stop the most physically gifted people on earth from having sex? My solution? Just play Space Jam 2 on loop wherever they sleep. If you can get an erection during Space Jam 2, you should probably be in jail. Space Jam 1, now, we all know about that busty little rabbit. Now, Japan's solution, cardboard bed frames that are built to not withstand thrusting. For most of my life, an anti-sex bed is just wherever I decided to sleep. They're also giving out anti-sex condoms. Seriously, they're giving out condoms like they do at every Olympics, but not until they leave Tokyo. Not that I've ever used one, but I think that defeats the purpose. Now, these beds were created to discourage boning in the hopes of preventing the spread of COVID. And as a sex-positive person, I can't think of a greater tragedy than prohibiting the world's best bodies from becoming one in the act of love. Unlike most Japanese-made products, these beds appear to not actually fucking work.
In today's episode of Fake News at the Olympic Games, the beds are meant to be anti-sex. They're made out of cardboard, yes, but apparently they're meant to break at any sudden movements. It's fake. Fake news.
Considering Japan is the one country where its residents have a term for literally working themselves to death, I guess being at the forefront of bed technology is not a surprise.
In today's episode of Fake News at the Olympic Games,
we actually learned that these beds were designed to be easily recyclable and not prevent dirty, filthy, disgusting, sweaty, hot-bodied sex. Sex in the Olympics, though, is a tale as old as this show. 9 years ago, almost to the day, Sam Comroe and I published Olympic Sex Fest right here on this YouTube channel. It's one of the first videos here ever, and we reported on the rampant sex that happens every 4 years at the Olympics. How did Sam and I do on that video? You be the judge.
It was a giant fuckfest.
Giant fuckfest.
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 Fuckfest. Alright. Falcons kicker, Younghoe Koo, had his Jeep stolen. Koo posted the photo of an empty parking space with the caption, "MF stole my Jeep, SMH." MFs is of course short for motherfuckers, which means Tom Brady is probably the only person in the NFL who knows where Koo's Jeep is.
You're sticking with that mother.
Koo went on to say, "Can you just bring back my cleats though? I won't even be mad, bro, just bring all my cleats back so I can go kick." Which is just another example of how soft the NFL is nowadays. Kickers used to kick without cleats altogether, Younghoe. I also find it odd that you want your shoes back so badly, just so you can take them off again immediately before entering any home. Now, I don't know how many sacks they will have, but I do have the perfect nickname for the Washington pass rushing duo of Montez Sweat and Chase Young. It's Rapunzel and Rumpelstiltskin. Is that important NFL news? In my eyes, yes. Dez Bryant is working on a documentary about his infamous no catch from the 2014 NFL season that led to the Cowboys' heartbreaking loss in the playoffs to the Packers, who then went on to lose to the Seahawks, who of course recovered an onside kick in the fourth quarter to take the lead and then win in overtime. The Seahawks then went on to not hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch on the goal line in the Super Bowl, losing to the Patriots. This documentary will be about Dez, but it should be about the curse placed upon the NFC that year in the postseason, as all three of those teams were one play away from winning. That's the real tragedy, and if Dez Bryant doesn't see that, I will question him as a legitimate filmmaker for the rest of my life. Now the big story, Wednesday the news of Richard Sherman's arrest broke. It was a strange news story in that we had a terrible sounding headline with no details. That headline being Richard Sherman arrested for burglary domestic violence. That was followed by Richard Sherman also being investigated for a hit and run. Now I'm not trying to downplay what actually happened. This situation is not good, but the charges and the headlines, while technically accurate, were all a bit misleading. When you hear hit and run and burglary and domestic violence, you might imagine Richard Sherman going on a rampage that led to the plot of John Wick 4. Here's what we know actually happened though. Richard Sherman crashed his SUV into a concrete barrier in a construction zone. No one was injured. He then abandoned the car and tried to break into his in-laws' home in the middle of the night. This all happened after he allegedly drank 2 bottles of alcohol. Footage of his break-in attempt at his in-laws' home was released, and it's a little bit disturbing.
Come through! Come through, bitch! Come through! Come through! Come through! Come through! Come through, right? Come through! Come through!
Yes, a scary sight, and you can understand why his family was forced to call 911 to intervene. So between all of that and Sherman driving incredibly drunk, he's fortunate to be alive or not seriously hurt. He's even more fortunate that he didn't hurt any of his family members or any of the construction workers where he wrecked his car. All the harm was done to himself, including resisting arrest after the police showed up, which is why Sherman was taken to the hospital to have the dog bite treated stemming from the police dog officers used to help arrest Sherman. I'm sure that dog is bragging to all of his friends that he got to bite Richard Sherman last week, which I think Richard Sherman would actually approve of. Then the court footage from Sherman's arraignment was released on ESPN. The judge, who because of COVID, looks like the person who calls your number over at the DMV, released Sherman and noted he's a father, he's a business owner, and a pillar in the community. Sherman pleaded not guilty to 5 misdemeanor charges, which are listed as 2 counts of domestic violence, criminal trespassing in the 2nd degree, and malicious mischief in the 3rd degree, along with resisting arrest, driving while under the influence, and reckless endangerment of roadway workers. This is what I love about this country, though. We know that Sherman did all of the above things. There's video evidence of it. But you can still plead not guilty and go through the process to ensure the best outcome for yourself, especially when you can afford a good defense attorney like Sherman can. My best guess here, though, is that the domestic violence, criminal trespassing, and malicious mischief in the 3rd degree can get dropped. The DUI, resisting arrest, and reckless endangerment of roadway workers is probably what sticks and what Sherman will have to handle in court. And then, of course, with the NFL. Off the field, I think Richard Sherman will be okay. I hope he gets the help he needs. Probably probation and some form of community service. Playing again in the league is now an issue. He needs a team to take a chance on him, which was already getting dicey due to his age and injuries last season. That team will also have to be willing to wait out a suspension. I'm not sure how long that would be, since it may depend on what happens in court. And if you know anything about NFL and suspensions, it's like spinning a wheel, just seeing where Roger Goodell's temperament is that day and how many days the suspension will be. So that's what we will be watching. Now, Richard Sherman did issue an apology, and unlike most, it actually seemed sincere. I am deeply remorseful for my actions on Tuesday night. I behaved in a manner I am not proud of. I have been dealing with some personal challenges over the last several months, but that is not an excuse for how I acted. The importance of mental and emotional health is extremely real, and I vow to get the help I need. I appreciate all of the people who have reached out in support of me and my family, including our community here in Seattle. I am grateful to have such an amazing wife, family, and support system to lean on during this time. That was posted to all of the socials by Richard Sherman, and I think most people are hoping for Richard Sherman to overcome this, that this was a outlier in terms of his character and who he is. And if you are someone who thinks you might need help, you're struggling with alcohol addiction, mental health issues, drug problem, please try and get help. Seek support. Don't let that be something that makes you feel like you are weak or not strong, because when you need help, getting it is the strongest thing you can do to help prevent you from getting into a situation like this before it's too late. And I think people who have been around similar situations or have had family members or friends who have struggled with these types of things understand that. So I'm glad Richard Sherman's going to get help, and if any of you out there need it, don't be afraid to seek help. And if you are a friend or family member of somebody who you think might need help, just go fucking do it. Be the annoying friend, the annoying family member to check in on them, to call them, to make sure they're all right. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough.